Welcome, everybody, to our weekly energy talk here on Skype Live. My name is Jona Bryndis, and I'm an energy healer, energy coach. I do energetic life coaching, career and relationship coaching. And over the last 20 years of my practice, I have started to bring these life lessons, if you will, together in different programs: love integrity, energy course, sacred self-healing. And sacred self-healing is what I want to talk to you about in these next weeks. It is a program that is accessible for everybody. Nobody has to have a specific pre-education of anything. I guess the only thing that really connects those of us who decide to go on this self-discovery journey is that we realize that there's something in our life that is missing, or perhaps that is not working as well as we would want it. And there's obviously many complex things to this. Here in these energy talks where I have you guys live, I would like to discuss what your personal experiences are in conjunction with these different steps on our roadmap to self-discovery, self-growth, and perhaps also our life as such, including our relationships. So each of these energy talks is numbered. Yeah, it seems we all do really well with a certain structure. So I'm offering a little bit of a structure here, and that structure comes from the Sacred Self-Healing Program, the 24-step of Sacred Self program that is going to launch here on February 1st with its new platform. So we are tuning back into the Sacred Self-Healing program because it seems that these 24 steps, and it doesn't really matter, there is a reason why I have 24 steps. I will describe this or explain this here in a moment. But it seems that especially for those of us who are seeking for more, who want to find a higher expression of themselves, who want to be the best they can be, that a structured sort of step-by-step version of this often allows us to become, say, more accountable, more in tune. We all have issues with motivation. We all have good intentions, but we often fail to be accountable to ourselves. And this is something that probably a lot of therapists and coaches can agree with, that when we share, when we go into this momentum where we hear ourselves sharing things out of, our experience, and listen to other people doing their sharing, that there is a level of, internal, I want to say, reflection that can take place that we cannot really have if we're just doing this with ourselves. So today I want to talk about step 1, which has to do with finding the center in ourselves for the purpose of knowing when we are what we call connected. Yeah, and in energy lingo, we call this the sacred heart. So it's not linked to the physical heart, it is linked to the center of our center, something that needs to be experienced from within. It's not something that somebody else can point at and can say, okay, you got to focus on this part of your body, or, there's obviously a lot of techniques such as yoga and so forth that can also help with this. Meditation plays a big role in this. But it really comes down to the individual experience of the person. And today, I want to ask you about your experiences, and especially your problems, the problems that you encountered. Maybe you remember at the beginning of your journey, when people are talking about connecting with your heart, how did this go for you? Is it easy to pinpoint this right away? Is it something that you can read in a book? What is your personal experience with this seemingly simple task of connecting with your heart? Who would like to share? How did this go for you?
For me, it was brand new, and so it was that ignorance is bliss, and so I was amazed at how great it felt, and so I thought, oh, I've done it. But what I realized is every day it gets deeper, and so what I thought was a connection in the beginning was so much less than what it is now.
Thank you for sharing. Do you think that it minimizes your initial connection experiences, or do you think that it's more like the further you go, the more you discover?
Oh yeah, it doesn't minimize it at all. It was blissful then, and every day it's more blissful.
Okay, bliss is something that needs to be defined before we can actually work with this word, okay, because it means something else for everybody. But I'm
Oh,
interpreting.
sorry.
No, I'm interpreting it as something really, moving. Yeah,
Yes,
something is
positive.
showing.
And in the beginning, it went from reflecting back on it. It was probably just a very pleasant relaxation. Now I can actually feel a drop in and a whisper.
Yeah, so this is interesting here that when we listen to each other describing what this experience feels like, you will find out here as we continue to listen to other sharings that there is no right or wrong. There is nobody that stands there and says, "Okay, you've graduated, you have made the connection to your heart. Now you are initiated or enlightened," or something like that, right? It really isn't that way. There are some practical aspects to it, there are some intellectual aspects to it, there are some emotional aspects to it, and obviously there's a lot of spiritual aspects to it as well. It has a lot to do with our worldview, with our view of ourselves, with our understanding of higher power, and so forth. So to keep this in a way that we can all relate to that, all right, I'm just sort of trying to 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 coach you guys here through some of these internal experiences so that you can maybe better talk about it, or also appreciate when other people share things with you. This connection with our heart that people call it different things, but that shows us who we are, that is like a touchdown with ourselves, can happen in many, many different ways. There is no right or wrong, even if we here, as part of this sacred self-healing community, look at the deeper and the energetic aspects as well. It doesn't mean that just having an experience such as just really feeling something, maybe something emotional, maybe we feel like spontaneous tears, that we cannot really place, we don't really know what it means, but something that triggers or moves something inside of us. Who else would like to share what these first connecting experiences were for you? And maybe also what worked well for you, because it's one thing to create this connection and another thing to recreate it, to be able to go there at will, to say, maybe set aside a certain time of the day and say, okay, I'm going to use this time for connecting with my heart. Who would like to share their experiences.
Hello there.
Hi.
Hi. So for me and it's hard to verbalize because it's such a subjective experience inside, but the best way I can say that is it's finding the calm in the storm, in that place in myself, that safe, sacred space where it doesn't matter what's going on the outside, and that I know that place is always there and that I can go to it. But there are a ton of ego distractions and life distractions and relationship distractions and kid distractions.
Life.
Life, yes, that you have to peel away to get to that slowly.
I like the way you described it. This inner calm. That's why I call it maybe the center of our center. It's like really something that is not affected by anything on the outside. Now, if you would have to define these distractions that you just mentioned, if you would have to define them, where they mainly come in, what is it actually that stands against our inner connection? What do you think, like within yourself? When you're not connected, I mean, we're still alive, we're still aware, we're still here, right? So when we're not connected, where are we? If we're not in this center piece, this calm piece, where are we?
I feel like it's autopilot, it's unconscious decisions, or just not being fully present with myself and allowing those distractions to come in.
I like the autopilot. That's really something that I can experience every day as well. It's like just basically sort of thinking about the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. Yeah, it
Yes.
seems like there was a part of me that is never really fully here, like you called it present moment, right? There's a part of me that is always sort of anticipating the next, the next. And this is then also what can lead to anxiousness, for example, or this constant sort of ruminating and worrying about things.
Yes.
In a nutshell, Cindy, where do you think our attention, our energy primarily is if it's not in our hearts?
If I could just say one description, in the future, it's leaning into what you just described, what needs to be done, what's next.
Where does that take place within ourselves?
Outside of ourselves.
Yes, our attention gets pulled outside of ourselves, but how does this actually happen? Is it our body that does that? Is it our emotions that do that? Is it our mind that does that? Or is it our spiritual beliefs that do that?
I would say for me, it's in my mind, it's mental.
Yeah. This is the most common cause for people feeling disconnected. It's not always that we don't know how to get there. It's that we get distracted because the focus, where all our attention is focused, seems to be in our minds primarily. Yeah, so if you think about it, future, yeah, what might happen is a mental construct. That is not something that actually is, right? Things that are right now have to do with our body, have to do with our emotions, and they have to do with other people and so forth. Those are things that actually are. But the things that come tomorrow, the worry about money, or the worry about career, or the worry about the relationship, those are all things that we create in our mind. And part of our mind, so there's nothing wrong with our mind. It's a great tool. It can help us, for example, making plans, coming up with strategies, working through problems that need to be resolved. Yeah, working through conflicts with other people. The mind is a really, really good tool. But really, where the solution finding, the the higher solution finding happens is when we can bring our mind, our thoughts, our ideas in connection with our heart. Why do you think that is, guys? Why do you think that there is just to keep the wording simple here, that we can access sort of a higher level of efficiency, or just a stronger sort of self-awareness, or higher thinking, as I sometimes call it, when we can bring the heart and the mind together? What do you guys think? Why that is? What can the connection with the heart provide for us that the mind cannot?
I think it's a way more expanded view. You're not locked into just one ruminating thought or one ruminating idea. You can expand with that and see other options.
All right, in theory, this sounds really cool, Cindy. Yeah, okay, but I'm not sure if I can buy this, all right? Because quite frankly, before we, can say such a thing, that obviously I know in your case, yeah, you are a sacred self-healing meditation facilitator. I know that you have worked a lot on this, and I know that this is how it works for you. But that's because you have been working with this for years and years and years. All right, you have already found that gateway between your heart and your mind, and you have learned all the tools that are needed for you to discern what is true to you and what isn't. But for most people, especially at the beginning of their journey, there is an idea that has to do with like who they are, and that idea is primarily taking place in the mind. Okay, so I think, therefore I am, and that's something that we are, we learn this in school, we see this in literature. It's not necessarily untrue. However, it's quite limited. Yeah, because what happens when we actually investigate the mind, and here's what you said comes in, the mind itself doesn't actually do anything. It works with constructs and programs. So there's ruminating, yeah, or looping, and mental looping that occurs when we are not able to see that there is something outside box that box that we have in our head. So we basically just regurgitate the same thought processes over and over, being unaware of that there is actually in and of itself a limitation in that. So we cannot really get out of certain problems because we cannot see that there is an outside to the box. Now, why does connecting ourselves with our heart change that? What actually changes there? You said it's more expansive. But why is that? Why does it feel expansive or more expansive? Why is it that we can begin to see different solutions, different choices, different options? What do you guys think? What is it that's happening inside of us when we let go of the idea that the mind is the only, part of us that has the power to do or to choose anything? What is needed for us to get outside of the box, to gain this more expansive view, as you called it? Just think of how this goes when you lay in bed at night and you can't shut your mind off. Anybody ever experienced this? Oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. Oh no, why didn't I do this? Oh, and I should have said that, and no. That's the box. We call this the ego mind. Anybody ever had that experience? What's the problem with that? Yes, okay, thank you for showing me all your yeses here, your thumbs up. What's the problem with that? The problem with that is that solutions cannot be found in that state when we just stay within the same construct of thoughts that have, well, basically created the problem. So when we are caught in the ego mind, all right, we are also limited to the ego mind. When we connect with our heart, what are we really doing? We are redirecting our attention from our mind to our heart, even if it's just for a few moments. And all of a sudden, we experience this, what you described as calm, or Linda described it as bliss, which is not always the case for everybody that it feels blissful right away, but there is this calmness, there is a sense of peace there. Now, in mindfulness work and energy work, we call this present moment awareness. So we basically focus all our thinking energy to this present moment. And what that does is it makes all these thought constructs in the box fade out. You described this very beautifully, Cindy. And as we're doing this, all of a sudden, and this may not be aware to us in that moment, because in that moment we really want to immerse into this feeling of relief, really, that comes in. In that moment, we are no longer limited to the box. We may not have solutions yet. We may not be aware, that, let's say, the answer to all our problems is this or this or that. But what we did is we stopped biting into the problem. And as we let go of holding on to our ego mind, white knuckled, because that's often how this looks like for me as an energy healer, we begin to see that there is more here, that there is more. And even if it is just that moment of peace where we realize, okay, I'm not going to die. The world's not going to go under. I'm still here. And that is like a gate opens up. That's why we call our heart a gateway. It is not yet the solution itself, but it is a gateway to new solutions. And often, guys, it is a gateway to new ways of thinking. So if I begin to experience this relief, this peace for a moment, it augments the way we experience ourselves. And it's not that we haven't really experienced this before. Many of you guys have had these moments many times. But in these times where we try to control things with our ego mind, it's like we're on autopilot. We forget that there is a whole world out there of higher vibratory solutions, different solutions. I don't want to go into the content of that there is so much more out there, even if it is just the feeling of peace. And that is, when that happens to a person, there's a major, major shift in their self-experience or their inner experience of themselves. This is something that here sort of as this step one in our self-healing and self-discovery journey that we want to work on. So in the Sacred Self-Healing Program, that step one is actually called Sacred Heart. And it is something that we practice through guided meditations that we can do from tape, on our phone, and listen to it over and over again, because these meditations are coded. They're not just words. or we can come here to Skype Live, where some of our facilitators do these meditations together and even discuss some of these inner experiences live right after. So with this inner experience, something happens, and that is that we actually become aware of the limitation of this box. Okay, so we realize that whatever it is that we try to make ourselves depend on, to solve a problem or to find a solution, that is very limited to our own thoughts. And some of you who have been following me around for many years, or who were there last year to the workshop series that I do for the Sacred Self-Healing community, you have learned that, well, there's a problem with our thoughts, because 80% of our thoughts aren't even our own. So for us to, like, say, maybe create a bigger box, and maybe one that has no, strict outlines anymore, that is free thinking, which would be the goal for anybody who wants to self-master their journey. We need to investigate how this ego mind works, because if what that ego mind produces, is are thoughts that are 80% not even my own, that I have not even verified through myself, well, it's probably not that good of an idea to make myself depend on those or try to find solutions there. Doesn't mean that it's all wrong, So these statistics are obviously coming from psychology, but what it means is that we have a really, really good reason to recognize that our mind itself, on its own, is not able to bring all the answers, especially when it comes to healing, to love, and to self-growth. Because those aren't really concepts that can be described or resolved through the mind. We need something else. And that's, basically why we want to create this connection to our heart. It's like an add-on. It's like an upgrade to your mind that now brings in, this connection with your true self. What is true to me? How do I want things? Not just, I need to survive, I need to pay my bills, all the autopilot stuff, but I want to feel something like fulfillment. I want to feel something like purpose. I want to grow. I want to find the higher expression of what I am. These impulses that we have due to, the nature in us, due to being part of nature. So if you look at nature, this is the basic principle behind evolution, is this striving for variation, striving for a higher solution, striving for growth. And that's what our heart connection can provide for us. And the inner experience of this is very individual. So here in step one, with every step is a write-up, and obviously, some explanation like I gave you here right now. There's a breathing technique that is explained. And then there is a meditation that allows us to practice this on our own, to experience this for ourselves. And then with the online meditations that we offer here for Sacred Self-Healing members, we can learn to share and verbalize this, so that our mind and our heart actually not just sort of sensually or energetically join, but also in our awareness, through expressing these thoughts and interacting with other people. This is, in a nutshell, really how our self-healing and self-discovery journey works for all of us. This is a description of our life's evolutionary path. I'm just offering a structured way of doing this, and obviously through bringing people together from all over the world, that recognize, that it's a lot easier when you do this with other people, because many of us have this thought, which isn't ours, that we're the only ones who are going through certain types of problems, which until we actually go out and share, until we go and become more aware, of the different aspects that play into this, still stay within the box. And remember, guys, within the box, you can't find new solutions. That's like doing the same thing over and over again, applying the same strategies over and over again, and expecting different results. That is not very smart. And yet we all do it because there's a belief in us, that our mind alone could figure this out. So step one is about admitting to ourselves that we're actually not able to do that, and that there are limitations to our mind, some of which we can learn to overcome easily. For example, consciousness training, if we just start becoming a little more aware of what our thoughts are and question them. Instead of questioning ourselves, we question our thoughts. It's like, is this even my thought? Is this even coming from me? Or is this just something that I'm repeating like a tape? Is this something that I've heard? Is this something that I was conditioned to think? These are things that we can do on our self-healing journey. And this is where these workshops come in that I do for Sacred Self-Healing members, to actually show them the steps, show them, some scientific backgrounds and some educational things that they can use to really work with in self-study. So this is in a nutshell here why we want to connect with our hearts and why that is important for our self-mastery, self-healing, and self-growth journey. It's not about following a specific kind of school or teaching. It's about discovering ourselves. It's about feeling ourselves. It's about working with our true self. That said, this Friday, we have our Connect with Your True Self free energy healing session for anybody to sign up for. So there's people from all over the world who come to join us. It's facilitated by myself and volunteer energy healers. And right after, we talk about those experiences and help people to identify, maybe some of these things that came forward to them, what they mean, what this deeper self-healing topic may be for them. So look at my website, transcodes.com, to sign up for the free energy healing on Friday, the 20th of January at 4 p.m. Eastern US time. You're all invited. Yes, and if you would like to know more about the Sacred Self-Healing program itself and the membership here, I'm going to be talking about this a little more every week, as we have this big launch on February 1st with a really cool offer for all of you. So I am looking forward to growing this Sacred Self-Healing community now, and share this with your friends, with your family, because these energy talks here on Skype, they are free. They are open for everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, for coming here, for sharing, especially for watching this video on my YouTube channel. There are hundreds of energy talks and truth talks and seminars and so forth on my YouTube channel. So yes, you can enjoy this kind of community talk and sharing there for hours and hours, maybe in one of those sleepless nights. Thank you, everybody. I'm very excited to be back live with you, and I see you again next Wednesday. Bye-bye.